Welcome to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to be doing an NBA 2023 mock draft with some trades. What I'm going to show you guys is a realistic trade scenario. I'm not going to show what I want to happen. I'm going to show what I think is going to happen. There's no guarantees in the NBA ever. So without further ado, let's get into it. With the first pick in the NBA draft, no surprise, the San Antonio Spurs are going to select Victor Wembanyama from the French League. In 33 games during the 2022-2023 seasons, he averaged 21.6 points per game, 10.5 rebounds per game, and 3.1 blocks per game. He was the MVP of the French League, and he was also the Defensive Player of the Year of the French League. Generational talent, probably the best prospect we've seen or heard of since LeBron James back 20 years ago. And with the social media age nowadays, probably even a little bit more hyped up. Victor Wembanyama going to the San Antonio Spurs will be great for his career. Just like when they drafted Tim Duncan and David Robinson with their former number one overall picks, they ended up as Hall of Famers. So I expect nothing less of this with Wembanyama. Even though it's big expectations, he's more than capable with all the talent and skill that he possesses. At a 7'5" frame, it's undeniable that he has big things coming for him. With the second pick in the NBA draft, where the draft actually starts, in my opinion, the Charlotte Hornets select Brandon Miller from the University of Alabama. I do think Scoot Henderson is a better prospect, but honestly, I wouldn't mess with the mental aspect of both players just taking the ball out of both of their hands and turning two ball-dominant guards into combo guards. So I feel like it's not good for LaMelo Ball's development, continued development, and Scoot Henderson's development. But I think Brandon Miller will fit in just nice. Just another scorer. LaMelo Ball does not have any scores. Maybe Miles Bridges, but we know his situation is still pending. But yeah, Brandon Miller can, best case scenario, turn into a Paul George or Brandon Ingram type scorer with two-way potential at 6'9". He could be a versatile defender guarding multiple positions. And so I just think that's a better need that the Hornets need right now. That's a better fit for them. But yeah, first trade of the draft at pick 3. You know what I'm saying? So the Portland Trailblazers trying to keep Damian Lillard. They're going to trade away Anthony Simons, Nasir Little, Kevin Knox, and Joseph Nurkic in the 3rd overall pick to the Raptors for Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, the 13th pick of this year's draft, and a future top 3 protected 2028 draft pick. I think it's a pretty decent trade that both teams would actually get some benefit out of. I know that Pascal Siakam's only a 1-year rental right now, but you still receive a draft pick this year and then a future draft pick just in case it doesn't pan out, and at least you get to prolong the Damian Lillard experiment for at least another 1 to 2 years. So yeah, you don't really give up too much. You keep your young player in Shaedon Sharpe and just run it back, try to sign somebody off, sign back Jeremy Grant in free agency. And you probably got a good squad. Sign maybe JaVale McGee from something for veteran minimal, get you a little center. You should have a decent contending roster. On the Raptors side of things, you get to draft potentially Scoot Henderson at the number 3 pick. I don't see why you wouldn't. You get a young talent in Anthony Simons to pair with Scotty Barnes, and you're really off rolling. You got a bright future ahead of you. You might have to eat. You're gonna have to eat the Joseph Nurkic contract, but it's not too bad. You can use him in a potential another trade. Somebody at $16 million. So yeah. So the Raptors are gonna end up drafting Scoot Henderson with the number 3 overall pick. So yeah, for the Toronto Raptors, it's gonna be a great pick for them because it's gonna speed up the rebuilding process because they already have Scotty Barnes, a promising young player, to pair up with Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons. To me, that team honestly is off racing fast. Probably do some trade down along the lines and get another draft pick or so. But yeah, they're definitely speeding up their rebuilding process a year or two early, honestly. This could be a good pick. So Scoot Henderson to the Toronto Raptors from the G League Ignite. With the 4th pick in the NBA draft, the Houston Rockets are going to select Amen Thompson from the Overtime Elite League. He's at 6'7", freakish athletic guard, crazy quick first step. Like, this man's a different specimen. He does have a jump shot that needs some work for sure. That's probably his only weakness. Everything else, I think, is going to make up for it. And Houston definitely needs some playmaking to go along with their already young talent. Get Jabari Smith some good looks, because he's just pretty much in that corner hanging on for dear life right now. But yeah, put him at the point guard. Good things should happen. I know they've been trying to target James Harden, but for me, I just don't see that as a realistic option for James Harden. I mean, like, if he does go there, then we know he's not prioritizing no basketball. We know where he's gonna be. But let's just keep it at that. With the 5th pick in the NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons are gonna select Cam Whitmore from the University of Villanova. I mean, the man is just a freakish athlete at the wing position. I mean, he could play alongside Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey perfectly. Like, he doesn't have to. He has questions about his playmaking, so that would be the perfect fit, playing along two point guards and being able to just go get a bucket when needed. I mean, they already got a lot of promising young talent over there in Detroit. They got James Wiseman, Jalen Duran. They honestly got a lot of bigs over there in Detroit. I mean, he could fit right in. He does have some question about his playmaking. Like I said, he has some crazy small hands, I've heard. But all that shouldn't matter, because honestly, he's not going to be asked to do too much playmaking wise. And yeah, he has crazy upside. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up being the second best. I wouldn't say first, because, you know, Wemby. But the second best player in this whole entire draft. So, Cam Whitmore, specimen. With the 6th pick in the NBA draft, the Orlando Magic are going to select Taylor Hendricks from UCF. I mean, the guy stays close to home. The Orlando Magic need some shooting and definitely some rim protection. They do got Wendell Carter, who is not much of a rim protector at all. Taylor Hendricks doesn't really fit your average size center build, but I mean, they got a lot of 6'10" guys and lengthy defenders, so I think he just fit in right at the little forward position, or maybe even the small ball 5, being able to stretch the floor. I mean, the man shot just under 40% in college. So, I mean, the man's just a different animal. I mean, crazy offensive rebounder. He has a high motor, good defender, can switch pick and rolls, can guard on the perimeter. I mean, the man can just do a lot of things. I mean, he can't really create his own shot as much, but I just think that he's not going to be asked to do very much in Orlando. They already got 2 promising young stars there in Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. So he's not going to be asked to do too much, but definitely stretch the floor and give them some more opportunities to cause havoc in that lane area. But yeah, so Taylor Hendricks to the Orlando Magic, which would honestly be a great fit for them. So with the 7th pick in the NBA draft, the Indiana Pacers are going to select Jarace Walker from Houston. This man is just a crazy built wing forward, or whatever you want to call him. He can do it. I mean, the man can create his own shot. He shows flashes of developing his shot a little bit more. He's not the greatest shooter, but he definitely will let it fly. His shot mechanics aren't too bad, so I can see him progressing as a shooter. And I mean, getting some open looks, playing with Tyrese Halliburton will definitely get him some crazy open looks. I mean, the guy can play make, shows flashes of creating his own shot, like I said. And the man, just his best asset is probably just his defense. I mean, he could do everything. Man got the crazy high motor, just like Taylor Hendricks. We're kind of like similar players, but I could see Jarace Walker having a higher ceiling, honestly, because he just has more shot making potential and playmaking potential. But yeah, he's kind of like good player comparison would be like a Draymond Green. I mean, he's even more built than Draymond. The man weighs 248. But I heard that he is a little smaller than expected, 6'6.5" with no shoes. But I think you shouldn't even really count that, because I mean that man's at least 6'8", 248 with some shoes on the basketball court. So yeah, the man could block shots, defend on the perimeter, switch, play small ball 5. I mean, the man could just do it all. So yeah, it's a great fit for him, especially knowing that the whole team in Indiana could shoot when you got Miles Turner at the 5. So their defense in the front court will just be crazy, along with some taller wings with Ben Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton. So yeah, they definitely a good fit for him. Will definitely thrive in Indiana. I see him being great in a role there. With the 8th pick in the draft, the Washington Wizards are going to stay put, keep their draft pick, and select Azor Thompson out of the Overtime Elite League. Just like his brother, freakish athlete, more of a 2 guard, but honestly would not be surprised if he plays point guard. They had interviewed him and asked him, what position do you think he is? He told the interviewer that he's a point guard for sure. I mean, he only averaged like 0.1 less assists than his brother. A lot of people say his brother has way more playmaking. But honestly, I do see it off the ball. But, I mean, I think putting the ball in his hands, I think he'll show similar things to what his brother does. But I think he does have a more developed shot that probably shows a little bit more promise than his brother does. And he could still do pretty much everything his brother can do with a better shot. He was the MVP of the Overtime Elite League. So, I don't know. I mean, personally, I think he might be a little better than his brother. So, if you can get him at the 8th spot, that would be a crazy steal. And wouldn't surprise me if he also becomes one of the better players in this draft. And just going to Washington, he can either play alongside Bradley Beal, or if they choose to give up on the Bradley Beal experiment over there in Washington, which they, in my opinion, they should have been done it, because they don't even make the playoffs anymore. So he could be a great fit alongside Kristaps Porzingis, Kyle Kuzma. I mean, Bradley Beal, if it happens, if they do trade away Bradley Beal, they still got him as a young star potential building piece in what they're trying to do moving forward. So yeah, 8th pick, this is Azor Thompson from the Overtime Elite. So the 9th overall pick in the NBA draft, the Utah Jazz are going to select Anthony Black from Arkansas. I mean, I think they should just take a swing for the fences and just try to get somebody with a good upside. I mean, like, regardless, he's going to play some crazy defense in the league and offer some playmaking. I mean, the man's about 6'7", 6'8". The man's huge as a point guard position. I mean, he'd probably fit right in, honestly, in Utah with Walker Kessler and Lauri Markkanen. I mean, he does got some upside. I mean, he's a crazy defender, high motor. He cares. So anytime somebody really cares, you know they'll put in the work. I mean, try to get better every day. So that would be kind of good for Utah. Like I said, just taking a swing, get the player with the biggest upside. I mean, they don't got much to lose. They got tons of draft picks in the future. I mean, it's not looking good in Minnesota with that Rudy Gobert trade. So they're probably going to end up getting at least some draft lottery talent. I mean, depending on what Minnesota does in the future. But yeah. So Anthony Black at the 9th pick from Arkansas. So we got another trade at the 10th pick. The Mavericks are going to decide to get some defense on their team. Trade away the 10th overall pick to the Brooklyn Nets in a 3-team deal with the Magic. And then the Brooklyn Nets are going to send Joe Harris to the Magic, 2027 top 3 protected first-round pick from Phoenix to the Magic. Mavericks are going to send Davis Bertans to the Magic. And then the Mavericks receive the 2025 first round pick from Denver from the Magic, and then Jonathan Isaac, who can bring some instant defense to the team when healthy. I know it's kind of a risk. He hasn't been too healthy in the past years, but what he has offered when he was healthy was a defensive player of the year candidate. So, I mean, that's going to instantly impact their whole roster. If they add Kyrie back, I mean, this is honestly depending on a big if, and I know that. But at this point, the Mavericks really got to swing for the fences because they already risked everything when they traded for Kyrie. So add some defense with Jonathan Isaac, somebody who can space the floor as well. Crazy help defender, crazy on-ball defender, can guard pretty much every position on the court. Honestly, just a hell of a defensive talent. And then the Magic add some shooting with Joe Harris and Davis Bertans. I mean, they just need some veterans on their team. So it's going to have to make it work, really. I mean, make these work. I mean, still got another draft pick coming up. So, yeah. So with the 10th overall pick after the trade, the Nets are going to select Cason Wallace from Kentucky. He's a very tenacious defender. I mean, has some shooting struggles in college, but honestly, in high school, he was a knockdown shooter. So, honestly, doesn't really scare me too much that the jumper won't develop. I think he just needs to be put in better situations, which can be possible if he goes to Brooklyn Nets because they have a lot of forwards and shooters on their team. I mean, Mikal Bridges showed crazy offensive flashes last year. He's dropped a 50 ball, so I mean, he's not going to be asked to be doing too much. I mean, he's going to get some open looks there for sure if Ben Simmons comes back around and penetrates the paint like he does. But that's a big if. Not too confident in that. But yeah, Cason Wallace at the number 10 pick to the Brooklyn Nets. With the 11th overall pick, the Orlando Magic are going to select Grady Dick out of University of Kansas. I mean, the man's just a flat-out shooter, probably best shooter in the class. About 6'7", 6'8". I mean, I think he's more than just a spot-up shooter, though. I think he has great instincts on when to cut. And playing off of Markelle Fultz, Franz Wagner, and Paolo Banchero, who are great playmakers, are going to definitely find him. I mean, they need some shooting, even though they already got Taylor Hendricks, good shooter. I mean, the more the better, right? They added Joe Harris from the last trade with the Nets and Davis Bertans, but more shooting, the better. I mean, they got some vets now from the trade. Now just add a good young another shooter to go along with their good core that they already have established. I mean, he does have some concerns on defense, but when you're playing with a guy like Taylor Hendricks, he's going to clean a lot of that stuff up. I mean, he's not like a terrible defender. Maybe from the point of attack isn't the best at stopping the initial drive, but he's a good team defender. So as long as there's a good system in play, I mean, you can have like a Taylor Hendricks to clean some stuff up. I mean, maybe go out and free agency and get like a Brook Lopez or somebody who can definitely clean some stuff up on top of Taylor Hendricks. Then you just got like a crazy tall lineup with Markelle Fultz, Franz Wagner at about 6'9", 6'10". You got Paolo about 6'10", and then you're going to have Taylor Hendricks about 6'9", and then you're going to have Brook Lopez at 6'11", if you can get him in free agency. I mean, to me, that's just like a crazy lineup what the Magic want to do. Just keep some lengthy defenders out there. Just lengthy, skillful players, positionless basketball. I mean, it's like a good recipe. So yeah, so Grady Dick to the Orlando Magic at pick 11. With the 12th pick in the draft, I could see the Oklahoma City Thunder selecting Derek Lively, the second out of Duke University. I mean, his numbers don't really pop out crazy, but he is the number one shot blocker in the whole class. I mean, you're going to have a crazy big front court with Chet Holmgren at the 4 and then Derek Lively at the 5. I mean, some people will want Chet at the 5, but I think you should protect him in the long run. Like, let him play like a roaming defender more than just like the person who's guarding the Joel Embiid. Like, you don't want him guarding Joel Embiid. Stuff like that. So, yeah. Derek Lively would be a good pick just so he can command the boards. I mean, they struggled rebounding last year. So, with him and Chet Holmgren coming back, they should be honestly way better in that category. So, this will be a good pick for them. With the 13th pick in the draft after the trade between Toronto and Portland, Portland's going to have the 13th overall pick, and they're going to select Jordan Hawkins out of UConn. The man's a flat-out shooter to go along with their new additions in Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby. I mean, he probably would end up coming off the bench if they sign back Jeremy Grant. I mean, they're going to have a crazy starting lineup, some athleticism on the team that they haven't had before. Versatile defenders. They're probably going to need some rebounding, though. But I think they can just handle that in the free agency, sign some veterans for a minimal deal, and get that there. But yeah, this will be a contending team, tough defensive team to go along with some crazy scoring from Damian Lillard, perimeter shooting, Jordan Hawkins. He'd be in a great position there. With the 14th pick, the New Orleans Pelicans are going to select Jalen Hood-Schifino out of Indiana. I mean, the man's a good facilitator, has some good size on him, can pass off a live dribble. I mean, he's a tough shot maker. I mean, to go alongside Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, he's probably just going to need to put the ball in their hands. So, a good facilitator is probably what they need at this point. I mean, I know there's some rumors that they might trade away Zion, but honestly, I highly doubt that. But yeah, Jalen Hood-Schifino, probably the best available player at this point. I mean, probably he'd land in your lap at this deep in the lottery, the last pick in the lottery. So you'd have to go with the person with the most upside. And honestly, he'd fit right in, pushing CJ McCollum to the 2, more of his natural position, being a combo guard. He probably won't be asked to do crazy amount of playmaking, but a good amount would be good for him over there in New Orleans. So that concludes the NBA 2023 mock draft lottery edition. I think I had some pretty decent trades if I'd like to toot my own horn, you know what I'm saying? But let me know if I got it right in the comment sections. Like, subscribe for more future content, and till next time.